So hello and welcome back to another episode of Stephen's Four Wheels. Today we're going to be revisiting a topic that I spoke about nearly a year ago, and that topic was why are R170 SLKs still so cheap? Now I posted this video and I got quite a few comments on this video. It's probably one of my most commented videos. So about 3 or 4 weeks after I posted that video, I actually did a video about your thoughts on why R170 SLKs are so cheap. And I went through comments on there, and I spoke at different points, and people raised some very good points that I hadn't thought of, and that was really good. So I've had a lot of comments, in particular the last couple of months again, on this video and on your thoughts on why R170 SLKs are so cheap. So I thought, let's do another video and let's go back through those comments, and we'll see what people have to say. So these comments aren't in any particular order. They're just comments that I've copied and pasted into a Word document just so that all together, because I've got comments on 2 videos. I've also trimmed some of the comments down because people are going into great detail about their SLKs and how much they love them, which is fantastic. But for the purpose of today's video, I just want to know why they're so cheap. So although I do love it when people tell me all about their SLKs, and I can talk about SLKs all day, we're just going to find out exactly why they're so cheap and get other people's opinions on this. So first comment, it's a particularly UK thing in the main. I think rust is often a big problem on them there, and they have not really had fully recovered from the witch ladies who lunch image. However, here in France, SLK R170 prices are way above the UK, generally unsalted roads, and a dry climate means rust is not a problem, and they also generally are seen as desirable. We have a 320 for example, and currently I can see 30-ish of them for sale. Cheapest is 7k euros, and most expensive is 26. Well, that really does paint a bit of a different picture there, doesn't it? There's only 2 issues that you've touched upon there. Obviously, the first one being rust. That is a problem with SLKs in this country. I've done rust repair on my car. Thankfully, I have actually been underneath my car, and it is quite solid under there. I think even the technician I was walking around with was quite surprised as well. A little bit of rust on the bodywork, just spoken about before, got that sorted. And the other thing is the image problem there. We've touched upon this before, but yes, there is very much a sort of ladies who lunch or hairdressers image sort of attached to SLKs over here. I'm not quite sure why or where that comes from, but it is an image that it doesn't seem able to shake. So it's interesting that you talk about SLKs in France. I think someone mentioned about SLKs in Spain before now, and a couple of other comments as well from other countries. They talk about how much more expensive they are. So yeah, it's interesting that a cheapest is about 7,000 euros and the most expensive is 26,000. I mean, I don't think you could ask £26,000 for any SLK, even like an SLK 32. So yeah, anyway, thank you for commenting on that one. So next comment is, great channel for the SLK enthusiasts, keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. Now, I've not put that comment in just because it inflates my ego. I actually put it in because there's not that much R170 SLK content out there, so I kind of thought, well, if I start doing some stuff, maybe that image that we've just spoken about in the last comment, maybe I can sort of alter that image a little bit. Who knows? So next, serious rust is a big problem. Well, yes, it is a big problem on SLKs. If people are using them all throughout the winter, rust is one of them really big killers of SLKs over here. It's not the only one, but it is one of the big ones. Right, so next up we have R170 UK prices are surprisingly low indeed. In my country, prices are double than UK. The worst thing owning R170 in my country is the high road tax for the 2-litre engine and high gas prices. The good thing is that you can find here affordable and reliable solutions for various issues, like the area roof issues, even the dash plastics. Well, yes, again, some very good points made there. So it doesn't say what country you're in, but obviously the prices are a lot more expensive, obviously, in our first comment. It won't be the last comment we see of that today. Interesting that there's high road tax and also high gas prices. Well, that could put people off buying one. Obviously, if you're going to daily drive one as well, that's obviously something you have to factor in. But it's good news that, yeah, there are good solutions to problems like the various roof issues in the dash plastics, and it's good that you're able to find those sort of reasonably affordable solutions from wherever it is you are. So next comment, love my SLK 320. I think the reason these guys are worth so little is that they don't have a clear identity / personality. So they are not a clear out and out sports car like a Mazda MX-5, nor are they an obvious cruiser like its bigger brother, the SL. What they are, though, is a very good compromise car between the two, which can do the open top driving like a Mazda but combines some of the attributes of the SL to make a decent motorway cruiser. Well, yes, I quite agree with everything that's said there. I also like the way you call them guys. That's very good. Give them a bit of a personality, yeah. Again, it's about this image, isn't it? They seem to have a bit of identity crisis, the SLKs over here. I like the fact that you've admitted that they're not a MX-5 rival. MX is a very different car. And that's the one thing that I've definitely learned from this, is that the SLK is very hard to compare with Z3s, Audi TTs, Porsche Boxers, because it's a very different car. So it's hard to lump them in with all those and almost like a group test with them. You can't actually say that it's the same as a TT or the same as Z3. It's a very different car. And I think one of the things that makes the SLK stand out, though, is that it does have that cruise-like quality, cooking when you compare it to things like the MX-5. The X5 is a great, fun little sports car, fantastic, and it does that very well. But the SLK is slightly more grown up. It does have things like cruise control, the auto box, and you can use it for a good long distance cruiser. So yeah, it's that sort of split personality that maybe it's a bit confused, the SLK. Maybe that's why it's a bit misunderstood, and sort of us as SLK enthusiasts understand that, but maybe other people don't from the outside looking in. So next comment is, I suppose it's the not knowing of the running costs / repairs that put people off. Well, yeah, that is quite true. With my own SLK, there are issues and problems that I didn't know about when I first bought the car. That is the very nature of buying an older car. So yeah, I can see why that would put off, and also the running costs can be quite high. The repair costs can be quite high with Mercedes parts. So yeah, I can see why that's another factor that could put people off. So next comment, a lot of them appear crusty, never owned one, never wanted to. The reputation of biodegradable electrics has me running for the hills. Each their own, of course, but I'm sticking with 80s Mercs with my view that the high watermark in build quality were the Sacco cars. Well, yes, I think that's definitely true. That really wasn't, and not just me that thinks, there's a lot of Mercedes enthusiasts thinks that the Sacco years were the really high point in Mercedes quality, and it sort of dipped down a little bit since then. So next comment is from a channel called Grease and Gravel. He has just bought an SLK 170, so I'd recommend that you go and check out his videos on that because it's very interesting. So he says, awesome video, I agree. I just bought an SLK 200 compressor for dirt cheap. Full service history and super clean. I love it and can't understand why it's so cheap. Everything works fine, including the roof. Well, that sounds like you got yourself a bit of a bargain there. Properly sorted SLK with good service history for a very cheap price. So yeah, I think I'm a good buy there. So I'm in Australia. My wife has a yellow 1999 230, paying £1,000, circa 1,800 Australian dollars. For this type of car in Australia is impossible. Worth way more here. Nothing about it. One's okay for less than £4,000. So that's going to be getting on for like 8,000 Australian dollars, I presume. My wife is always getting compliments, usually from women who love it. I also love it. With low speed limits here, it is still quite a quick car, more so than my 1994 W124 E220 Cabrio. It had the usual hard plastic interior paint shriveling up, which we touched up, and a rattle from the cup holders was annoying. It's such a cute design, way nicer than the long nose R171. They are relatively common here, especially in silver and black, but numbers are thinning out and values were wise. It is at the bottom of its value cycle, so now is the time to buy. So in Australia then, they're obviously worth way more. You wouldn't be able to get anything for, sounds like, less than £4,000. Yeah, interesting. I also think the yellow is a very nice colour for it, it's on a bit of a side note. Again, there's little issues that they've had, like the cup holders and rattling, also the interior paint. Yep, that happens. It's quite a common issue on them. interesting about that the numbers are thinning out and value wise. I do wonder whether that's one issue, particularly here in the UK. There's still quite a few of them around, so whether they haven't got much value in them, whether the next sort of 5-10 years numbers are gonna get thinned out a little bit more, and the values will hopefully go up. Hopefully, I own one. It's at the bottom of the value cycle, so now it's time to buy. Yes, I think there's quite a few cars like that. That bottom where they're not quite a classic yet, so they're rising value, nor do they have any value because they're not new enough anymore. So that sort of dip in the middle. So yeah, I'd agree. Probably now it's time to buy one. So next up, great upload. I had a 2003 Mazda MX-5 for years and just wanted more power. I settled on a 2005 Porsche Boxer S 3.2 and it was like chalk and trees. Loved the power delivery of the flat stick. Price point is vast. To be fair, I never really considered the SLK. Maybe the hairdresser image like the MX-5 came into play. To be honest, after a single video, I definitely would consider it now. Food for thought, thanks. Well, that's 2 points here. Again, what I said earlier about me trying to raise the profile of the SLK. Obviously, it's worked with this chappy here. And the other thing is, again, he also mentioned the hairdresser image again, which again, we've already spoken about. That's definitely something, there's a bit of a theme coming through here, isn't there? So next up, it depends on the mileage and condition, plus the model. Try buying an SLK 32 AMG. They're crazy money and outperformed all the competition at the time. So yes, there are differences in the models. Obviously, AMGs are a lot more. I think AMG now, I've never seen one go for less than £7,000 or £8,000. I've seen them go up to about 15 as well. So yeah, a lot of value in them. And again, condition, as with everything, condition and mileage, pricing can really vary. If you've got a really high mileage car, very poor condition, of course, it's not going to affect much money. If you have a really low mileage car in fantastic condition, of course, it was always going to fetch more money. These cars are a bargain on wheels, and if you look after them with regular servicing, will not cost a fortune to keep on the road. Most also ULEZ exempt, which in London is a real bonus. One tip if you're buying one, make sure you get one with full service history. A lot of them were neglected by and bought by people who couldn't afford to run them. Again, there's a few good points here that, yes, they are an absolute bargain. I quite agree with you there. Again, I always recommend regularly servicing the car. I serve my SLK every 2 years because it doesn't really do the mileage I want, a yearly service. But obviously, if any other issues come along, I try and deal with those as well. So yes, and of course they are ULEZ compliant as well, which is a big bonus if you live in London or any other areas as an ultralight emission zone. And I think your tip was quite important, not necessarily about the get one full service, that is important. But I think the one thing I picked up on there was that a lot of them were bought by people who couldn't afford to run them. I think that's it. They sort of bought them as a cheap car and didn't necessarily want to run them as a Mercedes should be run with regular servicing. They just use it as a cheap car, tatting around, and if the engine blows up, oh well, I'll go and throw it away. I'll get another car. So I think that's the thing, and that's what will thin out the SLKs a little bit over the next few years. So next one, the SLK has never got over its original hairdresser's car image, and the dirty engine don't help. The road tax on my 2003 230 SLK is currently £415. I've had the car for over 10 years now and bought it as a one lady owner 27,000 mile full main dealer, full main service history example for 5k. It served me well, especially enormous boot with the roof up, no rush problems, and the one only major electrical issues was down to a bad connection behind the dash. It's worth so little now, it makes no sense to get rid of it whilst it's still going well. Well, yes, I think again you've picked up on that issue, as you've already spoken about the hairdresser's image that it seems to have and the lady's lunch image. Again, running costs with the road tax, they can be a little bit high, but it sounds like you've got quite a decent example there. Obviously, with the low mileage, I think you've paid quite a good price for that, and the full main dealer history as well, really good. Again, the fact you've obviously brought a good example means that you haven't had many issues. You've obviously had an issue with electrics, which sounds quite good because you obviously sorted it out fairly cheaply. And then, you're sort of in the same boat like me. My car's probably only worth a couple of grand. I sort of think it's that cheap. It's not worth getting rid of it. Why? It's a running, driving car, and it gives me a lot of pleasure. Why should I get rid of it so cheaply? So I think from those comments we can draw a few different things here, which I think I mentioned in my first video. So obviously running costs is an issue, obviously people taxing and insuring. Another issue is obviously with the rust and any little gremlins, like electrical gremlins, people seem to be reporting that they have. Obviously, the image is mentioned a few times, this hairdresser's lady's lunch image, and in the UK, it's never really shook off the SLK, which is why I'm sort of here to try and maybe persuade a few people otherwise. It sounds like from one of the comments that I'd managed to convert someone, hopefully. You never know. Now, also, I can only really speak for the UK market. This is the market that I know that well. I can't go through every other country in the world and talk about their market, how much their cars are worth. We would be here all day, but it is fascinating that you guys can comment on that and tell me what it is in your market, and tell me that actually if you're in Australia they're worth probably 4 times the amount, and what was it, if you're in France they don't get one for less than €6,000, was this €7,000? Yeah, it's really interesting. I love hearing about how the SLK perceived, how it's valued in other markets. So anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of today's video. Thanks to everyone else commented. Please do comment below if you have anything further to add, or if you're in the back of anything we've said today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So it's going to be goodbye from me, and we'll speak to you next time. Goodbye.